Oh, let's
All
see.
right, let's go ahead and get it cracking. Let me know when, because I
Okay,
can't
yep,
see
I
y'all.
will. Let me see. Okay. Hold on.
What's Shabbat Shalom, everybody? What's going on?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Just sitting at Wendy's right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Chilling.
Uh, oh, here we go. What?
Yeah.
Keywords.
I was just
Oops.
sitting here, man.
Cold
I always
nuggets are
go.
banging, by the way.
You said what?
Cold nuggets are banging sometimes.
Okay, we live, y'all.
Hey, man.
Shalom, shalom, everyone. Those of you
Oh,
that are
hold on,
tuning in.
Shema. Hold on, Shema. Oh, okay, yeah, we live streaming. Go ahead, my bad.
Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead, my bad.
All right, all right. Welcome to another segment of Love Language, the Round Table. We appreciate those of you that's tuning in live right now and those that's going to watch and listen back. Today is going to be an awesome show. We hopefully will be I have some special guests. We have one by the name of Shaul. Some of you may know him, and some of you may not, but you will today. Um, the topic of discussion. Before we get into the topic, I want to, we want to let you all know we're coming into a year. I don't know the exact date. I'm gonna have to look into that unless Tamar knows or unless Zebulon knows.
It's March 9th.
See, look at that. See what I'm saying? Already ready. Anyway, so March 9th will be coming into our year. So what we wanted to do, which was talked about amongst us, great idea, is to start implementing interviews in which who we will consider, for lack of a better word, experts in the topic of discussion that we come up with. And not necessarily experts as though they did research and studies, but more so perhaps they lived whatever we're speaking of, or so we want to start doing that, and we kind of like step back a little bit and allow you all to get different perspectives because a year of hearing our perspectives can get a little tiresome, I'm sure. So we're going to implement that in this new year. We haven't discussed how often, but I just wanted to let you all know, and today might be the start of that. Hopefully, if the elders could come through. So today's topic is, what is it today's topic? I just have the details tomorrow. You send me a screenshot of the details.
Yeah, it's role playing part 1, becoming a husband.
There you go. Role playing part 1, becoming a husband, and next week it will be role playing part 2, becoming a wife. But the details of this is, as time goes on, the rules concerning gender roles have become more and more fluid, especially in Black households. What are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? What does it actually mean to be a husband? And when considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband? So, yesterday I was trying to figure out what order that I want to go in with the gentleman that we had actually asked to come on today and speak on some of these things. And what I wanted to do with them is to allow them, before we go into the topic, to go ahead and speak about themselves and how do they kind of relate to the topic of discussion and just their experience and their perspective in that regard. And then we'll transition over to the question. So, Shaul, since you are the only one at the moment and the first one, how would you like to go first? Well, you have no choice, but yeah.
Hey, hey, man, you funny, man. Uh, okay, so um, I did a few shows. Let me say, salutation, shalom, greetings, Shabbat shalom to those listening, viewing. I go by Shaul. I've been on the show a few times, and some people may not know who I am, but for those who've been wondering my age, here it goes. Your boy is 30 years old. I'm from Detroit. I've been in the Hebrew faith for 10 years. Um, I've been married for 11 years. I have had my fair share of experiences with these different topics that I've been, invited to speak on, even though I'm young. Um, I come from a family of marriages and fruitful relationships, but also a fair share of bad ones as well. Um, and so I'm going to be speaking on the topic at hand today as far as role playing, becoming a husband. Um, I'll be the youngest attending the show today. And so I, going to give my perspective from a realistic perspective, my own personal perspective, what I lived and what I have seen of my own parents, my mother, my father being married for 34 years, my grandparents, and just give some insight from a person who's younger. And like the Ox said, we got a special guest coming on, and they will give their perspective from a way more experienced, way more everything. And so hopefully that, that insight in these different topics and things that we discuss helps everyone listening who's either trying to figure out how to continue that's already married, as far as the brothers is concerned, or the brothers that's single that's trying to figure out how to become the best husband or the best spouse that they can be.
That's right.
And so that's the goal. We hope the Most High bless it, put the spirit on it, and lead everybody to the right path. And again, shalom. Shalom.
Appreciate that, Aki. So this is what I want to do. And the panel, Yeshayahu, Zeb, Chief Zeb, Tamar, y'all let me know what y'all think and if you agree with it. Right now, since Shaul is the only one at the moment, I would like to say, or I would like to present perhaps that we allow him to start the questioning, right? And then when More Shalim comes on, depending upon how far Shaul is, we could either start him, the same way that we started Shaul. And in the midst of it, if any of you have any extra questions towards Shaul, perhaps we can ask that, at least one question per panelist or per people that's listening in, just to get the process going and give Morey Shalim some time to get on because he is trying to get at a certain destination. So that's the thing. Go ahead, Tamar.
Yeah, and also for those of you who are watching online on start to say YouTube, that's a lie. If you're watching online live on Facebook and you have any comments or questions, you can put your comments on the Facebook live stream, and then we'll try to get to it as the conversation continues. That's all.
And one more thing I want to add, it is another one that's supposed to be, another Maury supposed to be joining. His name is Maury Shamar. He's coming a little later to his class. Will be ending probably midway through hours. So he said he'll be tuning in as soon as that's over, and hopefully he gives some good insight too. And the reason we're bringing these gentlemen on is because, like Shaul was speaking on, they have years on success of the marriage that they've been in. All three different individuals, probably different styles of how they operate within it, but all the same foundation as far as Torah. So it should be interesting to hear these things. So, did any of the other panel have anything to say before we get started with Shaul? We're about to jump them now, y'all. No? Yes, Yahoo? Chief Zeb? Anybody? Shamika? All right. Go ahead.
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm good for the moment.
Okay. Cool. All right, so we go ahead and get started with you, Shaul. And the very first question is, and you have 7 minutes. Oh no, well no, I think I was gonna do a little longer this time because it's only three of y'all, and it might only be two. So let's for right now let's go with like 10 minutes. If take it if you need it, and if you don't, you already know what to do. So the first question is, what are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? What are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? Y'all still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay. I thought I lost you.
Yeah, I was just putting my bags in. You just got these. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
And while he's doing that, you all make sure you contact Achot or Sister Tamar, uh, Chief Zebulon, Yeshayahu. If you all have any new topics, I know we have a few of them already set, but we welcome them in. We don't want to always come up with it on our own, but we would love for you all to reach out to those three, even Shamika. I'm sure she'll be okay with getting someone that might be listening as her friend too, that can just tell her, and then she can bring it back to us if you all can't get to us. We appreciate you, Shamika. Thank you for letting me throw you in there. There we go. All right, if you got the floor, Saul, if you're available. I was just trying to fill in the gap.
Yeah. Uh, oh yeah. Uh, yeah. I want to apologize to everybody. The thing is, I was putting my bag in the. I'm a truck driver and everything. I was putting my bag in the truck, and so. But anyway, nah, nah. I ain't put the video to you. Yeah. Okay. So ask the question again so I can get in context, and I do my best.
The question is, what are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? What are some common assumptions about the role of a husband?
Some common assumptions about the role of a husband. Um, well, some of the assumptions that I have heard uh about the role of a husband is, we got all the, we got all the power, one when the woman don't got nothing, we get to control everything, and we uh we just get to rule with an iron fist, and you know uh uh you know basically do as we please, as much as we want, and um no, there's no consequences for us. Some of the other things I've heard is uh well, you know what? That's probably the most common things. I can't really think of none as far as what are some of the common assumptions of the role of a husband. Um, let's see.
Think of the
Uh,
feminist movement. What are some of the things that some feminist women might say? What are some things that's taught in our community as far as, like, I don't know, like the churches, or like things like
um,
that, I guess. Hmm.
well, things like men are too masculine. You know, we're too authoritative. We're possessive, or we're misogynistic, or chauvinistic, or whatever. Um, pushy and aggressive and angry, and just different things like that. That some of these, quote unquote, politically correct, you know, statements and terms are being used against what the role of a husband is, so on and so forth. Um, as far as the feminist movement goes, it's exactly what I was saying. It's um, we are painted as aggressive to, or not just aggressive, too aggressive. We're painted as um, uh, basically, throwing women under the bus and not appreciating their essence and their essential nature and what they bring to the table. And that's not really true at all. Um, because before, like I brought up a couple of weeks ago when we had the other show about totalism and some of the statistics on marriages before integration. Um, and I always say for the sisters who think that men are just out here, and I'm speaking for the good brothers because there's a lot of good brothers out here. And I want to let everyone know that we are aware that it's misrepresentations and it's a lot of brothers out here doing a lot of shady stuff. Um, but at the same time, for the brothers who really representing and who love their families, who take care of their children and take care of their wives, and what I'm saying, so on and so forth. I'm speaking for these brothers, but I want everyone to think um, about this, that the first wave of feminism started in the late or the mid to late 1800s, and it didn't catch on. It didn't catch on. It lost traction, and the second wave didn't start until integration. I want everyone to think about that or do research on that. You think that's kind of odd that uh, they waited until integration happened for them to start this feminist thing back up again. And it still didn't necessarily catch on that heavy, but they had more members because now you got black women involved now. And so these are some of the causes for why we even having these discussions about the role of a husband and, you know, the role of a wife and marriage and, you know, and unions and all this type of stuff. Just, these sacred bringing togethers that the Most High ordained from the beginning. And so I find it me myself, I find it quite strange that that they would start the second wave of feminism during integration. So I want everyone to look into that. Also look into, I'm gonna bring it up again about totalism, the eight points of totalism. How they use Hegelian dialectic tactics to kind of steer and condition everyone to think a certain way, believe in certain ideologies, and so on and so forth. It's much deeper than that. Um, but you know, to keep it short, that's a fairly simple question. That's probably the deepest I can go into it, as far as what are some of the assumptions of becoming a husband or a husband or whatever. And so I'll yield with that. Maurice Shalim did just text me and said he's coming in now, so I'm not sure if he's in, but he should be hopping in a second. I'm not sure how you want to move forward from here, but um, that's my take on that question.
Okay. We we're gonna add another piece to that question, if it's okay with the other panel.
Come on with it.
Yeshayahu actually made a part that you could compound with that question, if I'm using that correctly. But what he put in there was which ones need to be removed. Basically, he said which of those roles best fit your understanding, as far as the ones you mentioned, and are needed for success, and which of them roles need to be tossed out. The ones that you mentioned that they're saying, that we are. So which one best fits us for best fits your understanding and are needed for success, and then which of them roles need to be tossed out.
Okay, so when you say roles, what specifically are you referring to? What you saying? As far as you saying what needs to be tossed out or what needs to be kept,
The
according to
ones
my
that
understanding.
you mentioned, what you mentioned about what they said, that we are.
Oh, as far as the whole aggressive thing and all that.
Yeah, the
Um,
authoritative and all of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
well, it's essential. I would say that the aggression thing is, all the things I mentioned as far as, having aggression and being authoritative, being possessive. These are all things. There's nothing wrong with those things, especially when you are alpha male, because it you're going to want to have control or be possessive over the things that you own, and to keep, to go biblical with it. Anyone that studies the scriptures knows that the scripture says that a man getting a wife, that's his possession. You see what I'm saying? And the the role of marriage, or marriage in its nature, is the transference of the ownership from the father, the woman's father or her kinsman, to the husband. And so naturally a man is going to have these different characteristics as far as, a certain level of aggression, a certain level of authoritativeness and whatever. It's just that being a real husband or being a man is about having a balance, and having balance, and using logic and reason to determine when these things should be utilized for its rightful place. And so I wouldn't necessarily say, take anything away, unless you're just a person who's overtly negative or something like that, and you're utilizing things in an unbalanced way or unjust way, and you're tearing things down. But I could certainly say that from my experience growing up as a child with my father, that though I wouldn't say that, because he wasn't in the scriptures, but from, the values that he learned from the generation previous, it was a certain level of understanding and balance that he had. It was still a lot that he could have, worked on, especially if he would have had, the culture and the scriptures and things like that. But there are times where a man should have these characteristics be on display. Um, Breakdown. I just, was that Yeshayahu that just asked that question about breakdown ownership and all that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that
was
was him.
Yeshayahu.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
him.
breakdown possession ownership. Separate its negative context from a more positive understanding. Okay, so as far as ownership is concerned, I'm gonna give the most simplest answer or breakdown that I can. Think about like this: if you're, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty of fathers that have children listening in on this show right now. If you have children, you have authority over them, over those children, right? And so, because they're yours, they came from your loins. You and your wife came together, and you guys created children. Um, um, say this father has daughters, and they grow older. I'm explaining this from a daughter standpoint. Even though the both children are his, um, but from the daughter standpoint, his father has a daughter. He has right. He has rights and ownership over his daughter. That is his seed, his child, his that came from his DNA. And I'm not doing this intentionally to exclude the mother. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking solely on the man's part of it, because it does take two to make a child. So I don't want anyone to get offended about what I'm saying, but I'm just speaking specifically on this from the perspective of a man's side of his production and producing a child. Um, so he has ownership and rights over his children. You know what I'm saying? Over his children. So if you think about it, it's a scripture in the Torah that talks about um um that talks about if a man's wife or a man's daughter makes a vow, um that if he doesn't basically adhere to the vow that they make, he can disannul it. And so, and we know how serious making vows is according to scriptures, because if you make a vow, it cannot be broken. But this is one of the instances where um someone can make a vow and their father having the authority over his family can say, nah, we not rocking with that, and can completely disannul that vow. So um all marriage is, as far as a man, giving a dowry and so on and so forth, and taking a father's daughter to be his wife, is the transference of ownership or authority that the father has to the husband. And you can see that in Genesis 3:16. Um, that probably ain't the prettiest way to explain it as far as scripture goes. Genesis 3:16, when it says that your desire should be unto your husband and he should rule over you. I know people don't like to hear that, but I'm not saying that cats should be out here just doing all type of grimy things or whatever the case is, because I could see how people could take that a certain type of way. But because at the end of the day, that's not the only scripture. It's plenty of other scriptures that talk about balance, that talk about loving your wife as a Mashiach love the church. Basically comparing the husband to the authority just in the marriage realm. When it says love your wives like Mashiach love the church, comparing the role of a husband, or the husband, to that of the role of a Mashiach in his relationship between him and Israel, and the whole candle, the lamp oil and all that, the whole parable about the 10 wives and all that. And so it just shows you the authority that the husband has, and that he's given in the sanctity of his marriage with his wife. And that authority was transferred from the woman's father to the husband. And so that is, I think that's probably the simplest way I can explain ownership and and ownership and possession, as far as a man marrying a woman. It's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. It's a cultural thing. It's a thing that that is to be evaluated by someone of authority. So a brother just can't go and just snatch his sister up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna just get whatever. A brother has to prove himself, prove that he's worth that that level of power and authority, because that's a heavy crown that he has to hold on his head, and he has to carry that and walk around with that. And so he must have a certain spirit, a certain level of wisdom and understanding, and balance, and understanding the Torah, to be placed in that role, or to be given that authority or that role by this woman's kinsman or father. And so that'll be that's my best explanation I have, as far as breaking down um as far as breaking down the possession or ownership thing. Um, and any other you know bullet points or other questions on that? I see Maurice Shalim is on right now. And so he can explain it better than me. He's way older than me. So, and that's my elder, by the way. And if anybody wanted to know the elder I speak of, or Shema was speaking of the last couple of shows, this is the elder. His name is Maurice Shalim. My elder has taught me a lot, learned a lot from him. But from a 30-year-old's perspective, that's the best way I can explain it. If y'all have any other questions for me, I'll answer them real quick, and then I'll give the floor to him to speak on it from an elder's perspective with way more experience than I. So
kind of got it mapped out for you, Aki. I kind of got it mapped out for you, Aki. I'm just kind of waiting on. Is anybody keeping time? Anybody keeping time? Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't want to just come in and interrupt your wisdom, but I just wanted to. If somebody could keep time
it's
for
all
us,
it's all good.
but appreciate what you brought out. Shalom, shalom, More Shalim. You there?
Hey, shalom, shalom.
Shalom. What we're gonna
Hey,
do right
Shabbat shalom,
now,
family.
we so what we did so far, we had Shaul kind of explain a little bit about himself, um, a little bit about his journey as a husband, and just a little background. And then after that, we went into the first question. So I kind of want to do the same thing with you. The floor is yours. If you could just tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your you as a husband, and things pertaining to that, whatever you want to bless us with, and then I could go into the first question for you.
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom once again, family. Shabbat shalom. I pray all of you are having a blessed Shabbat. And I'm Moreh Shalim Ben Yaakov, and I'm the first assistant Moreh of the House of Israel of Jackson, Mississippi. Um, it's about 150 adult member congregation, Hebrew Israelite congregation. Um, to be in compliance with Torah, we never count the children. We're commanded not to make a full census of Israel. We only count the adults. So it's about 150 member adult on the rolls congregation. And I'm from a group of congregations. It's about 5 of them under the House of Israel banner. I'm from a group of congregations where we do not have self-appointed mores. We have a board of elders, and that board of elders keep their eyes open. They watch the young men in their midst that are under their hand of authority, and they tap a young man on the shoulder, and they select a young man to be moreh in Israel, and they train that young man for 5 years, which includes family counseling and family marriaging course at from Belhaven College there in Jackson, Mississippi. And at that time, while that young man is in training, they do not allow that young man to teach the people, because that's a heavy burden that you place upon the young man, and you putting his soul at great risk to allow him to stand before the people and teach before he's properly vetted and ready. Um, Not only should he be able to teach and explain the Torah verbally, but he should be living it as well as an example. So they want to make sure this young man has been trained to do such before they allow him to stand before the people. Um, During that time, he's only allowed to teach a class that a senior moreh gave him, a written lesson that a senior moreh gave him, and the senior moreh must be in attendance while he's teaching that class. After that time, then the elders stand that man before the people, as our ancestor Moshe did Yahshua, the son of Nun. And then those elders place their hands on that young man before the people. And then those elders instruct the people to rise to their feet out of respect for the position they're about to bestow upon this young man. And then those elders instruct the people, from this day forward, this man should be known as a moreh in Israel. And from this day forward, you people shall conduct yourself accordingly. And he shall conduct himself according to Torah. And if not, if he fails at this mission, if he fails at this oath of a moreh he is about to take before you witnesses, then we elders that are standing him before you have the authority to sit him down before you from being a moreh in Israel. And that's one of the main problems we have in Israel. I'm sure many of you have witnessed it. We have too many self-appointed morehs and teachers that are not vetted and are not qualified, and they are not beholding to or not held accountable to anyone. That's why they do some of the foolish things you see them do in Israel, because there's no one to check them and correct them. There's no one with authority over them to sit them down from before the people. If you read Torah, even the kings of Israel had prophets that could check them and correct them, and they were the kings of Israel. They had the authority of life and death over you. They were the sovereign rulers of that land, and even they were held accountable to someone. So that's one of the problems that we suffer from in Israel. Getting to today's blessed subject, um, the duties of a husband, or what requirements should a husband meet. The same requirements I just mentioned about a man being held accountable. Unfortunately, in today's society in Babylon II, we have a I'm grown, I can do it on my own mentality. And that's not in line with Torah. Um, we have too many men who take it upon themselves to go out and seek a wife on their own accord. And seeking a wife Becoming a husband is serious business. It's a life decision. And I was taught that if you have no life experience, your behind should not make life decisions. You should go seek someone that's been blessed with more experience and more wisdom than you've been blessed with at this stage in life, and get that person, that elder, to guide you through the process of choosing a spouse, a wife, because it's serious business. It's nothing to be played with. Um, the family is the foundation of a righteous nation. So you can't have a righteous nation if you fail to establish a strong family foundation. And too many times in Israel, we see that taking place. Um, I believe one of the questions was what would be one of the main requirements for a man to become a husband, or what should a
Moray,
potential wife expect? Yes, sir.
not to cut your wisdom, if you can,
Please cut me.
real quick, but before you answer that, can you tell us a little bit about you as a husband, if you don't mind? And then we go right into
Yes,
that
sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
We loved everything you gave.
Yes,
I
sir.
wanted to just be quiet and just let you
No,
continue,
very,
but I see the
very good
soul.
question. Very good
Yeah.
question. Right.
Okay.
Very good question. As I stated, we have a group of elders that watch for a young man before they select him to be a moray. And one of the requirements that they have is that that young man be married before they select him, because they want to absorb how good of a husband this man is over his wife and his household. They want to see how this man interacts with his wife, how he instructs and, if necessary, corrects his wife, how his wife receives his instruction and correction. And that would indicate that his wife admires and adores and loves him to receive the correction in righteousness. If the man is blessed with children, how does he rule over and teach and raise up his children? How does he run his household? Those elders want to be invited to that man's home for dinner. They want to see if his home is clean. Your house is not in order if it is not clean. If the elders are invited to your house and they can smell your house before they step across your threshold, and what they're smelling is not the delicious dinner that's being prepared, then your house is not in order. I use the word husband. A lot of us use that word loosely. One of the best definitions for the word husband is master of. And a lot of us get the wrong impression that means I give you some instructions, you shut your mouth and you obey. But no, it's far from that. It's much deeper than that. I would say when you look at the different terms and the different sentences and the different examples where the word husband is used, you can be a animal husband. You can be a husband of the sea. That's the captain of a ship or a master fisherman. You can be a husband of the land, a landlord. To whom much is given, much is required. You are not fit to rule over something if you cannot cover, take care of, and provide for it. Basic definition of a husband. You are not fit to be a husband if you cannot take care of, cover, watch over, and provide for a wife. How can you be a husband? How can you be the master of something you can't care for? How can I be the master or the husband of my blessed herd of organic cattle if I can't care for them, if I can provide the pasture for them, if I can't medicate them when they're sick, give them drink when they thirst? How? Provide shelter for them. How? And we see too many men rushing out to become husbands, not fully understanding the definition of the word. They are incapable of taking care of themselves, but they want a wife to take care of. Basically, when you take a wife, you are making an oath to the Creator that you are responsible for the very soul of that woman you're taking to be a wife. That's a great responsibility. So I was married before they even selected me to be a moray, and those same chief elders that selected me to be a moray took me and my wife through our guided courtship and stood us before the witnesses in our congregation and married us before the Creator and those witnesses. We both took the oath. She pledged herself to be my wife. I pledge myself to be her husband, the master of her, to care for, watch over, guide, and provide and cover her. And I've been married some 24 years. I'm now in my second marriage, a new marriage. I've been married a year 7 months now, for a total of over 26 years of marriage, 25 years of marriage, excuse me. That being said, one of the main duties. Oh, first let me ask: did that answer the question that you requested of me, my beloved brother?
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe so. You answered it greatly. The rest of the panel, what do you
Yes.
all think? Did you all have anything before he go into the finish his wisdom and go on to the next question? Y'all have anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, Maurice Shalem, I just want to just tell you thank you. I've heard so much good stuff about you. I'm so happy that you joined us. And just listening to what you're saying so far is so encouraging. Like I've known Shaul for years. And over the years we've gotten closer and stuff, but he's been talking a lot about you lately, and now I get it. Okay, high five.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. See, now my sister, raised the bar. Now I got to meet those expectations. So that's your fault. That's your fault, so. I appreciate that love and honor that you spoke of, my beloved sister. I appreciate that. And I give you all my word that I pray daily to our Creator to bless me with the wisdom, strength, and understanding to continue to conduct myself according to Torah so I can continue to earn that honor. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Toda.
You was finishing your wisdom, Moray, and then I can go into the question. I think I cut you off mid-sentence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I believe one of the main duties, and I'm trying to, because time is limited, I'm trying to sum it all up and focus on the main one that will give a synopsis of it. One of the main duties that a man should be prepared to do to be a husband would fall under a word that a lot of us misuse and misunderstand, a word covering. That would be one of the main duties that a husband should be capable of, providing a covering for his wife. Y'all know how it is. All of y'all might go out to dinner, you with some family members or some friends, and there's a sister in the crowd, and her money may be funny, her money may not be right, and you being the man that you are, when you all walk up to the counter, she pulls her ticket out to pay for her meal, and you place your hand up and say, "Nah, sister, put your money back in your purse. I got you covered." Y'all have heard that term before, am I correct?
Yes,
when you're using that term, basically what you're saying is you are responsible to take care of this obligation, this meal that needs to be paid for. A man that's seeking a wife should place himself in a position, and if he does not have enough life experience and enough wisdom to do so, he should place himself under the hand of an elder that can provide the platform that man can plug into so he can shorten his learning curve and learn how to become a husband, learn how to provide a covering for a wife and a household. Simply put, in order for you to cover a wife, you have to be responsible. You have to be caring. I would say you have to fear the Creator first in order to properly cover a wife. And when most men think, when I was blessed to stand before the people in our congregation, my chief elder instructed me to teach on this subject one Shabbat. And I tested the young brothers. I addressed the young brothers that were in the audience, especially the ones that were not married. And I asked them, "Brothers, do you believe you should cover your wife? How should you cover your wife, brothers?" And I used a certain tone of voice to invoke a certain feeling amongst the brothers. And of course, all the brothers with bass in their voice said, "Oh, yeah, Maury, I got my wife covered. Yeah, Maury, we do believe that, Maury. Of course we should cover our wives, Maury. Maury, you're not a man if you don't cover your wife. Yeah, Maury. I wish someone would step to my wife, Maury, and get out of order, Maury. I'll check them quick. That's right, brother. I wish they would. Yeah. Nobody bet not step to my wife the wrong way. The majority of us believe the term cover simply entails covering your wife physically, protecting her from physical harm, and paying a few bills now and then. Most of us believe that's what that duty entails. But if only we knew, it's far from that. Um, yes, you should cover your wife physically from physical harm. But I would state that if you are married to a wife and you have to cover her physically on a regular basis, you need to check yourself. What environment do you have your wife operating in if you have to physically come and defend your wife? You must live in the wrong neighborhood, hanging out at the wrong spots, um, um, have a dysfunctional ratchet family that you associate with. You need to make some changes if you have to physically protect your wife on a regular basis. Um, um, the main thing I would say that a man should be prepared to do is to cover his wife. Y'all waiting? Y'all waiting on it? The main thing that a man should prepare himself to do is cover his wife spiritually, the priest of his household, spiritually. If a man fails to cover his wife spiritually, the rest is in vain. All of the physical and financial, all of the loving, all the kind words is in vain if you fail to cover your wife spiritually. And most men are too, unfortunately for our beloved sisters that are seeking that desire a husband, most men are spiritually immature to properly cover a wife spiritually. They're not grounded enough. They're not spiritually grounded enough to cover themselves, let alone be responsible for the soul of another adult, another individual. So the first responsibility would be, are you prepared to cover a woman spiritually? Are you prepared to meet her spiritual needs? Do you have the aptitude to find a place or an elder that is spiritually grounded to place your household under to receive those spiritual meals that your wife would need so she would be filled spiritually if you are incapable of doing it yourself? Do you have a proper understanding of Torah to cover your household spiritually? And this is a question I would wager that most young men do not ask themselves before they begin to seek a wife. Then are you able to cover your wife emotionally? I would say the number one person that you need to protect your wife from would be you, the husband. Let me say that again. I would wager to say the number one person that you will need.
Drop my phone. Go ahead, Murray.
I forgive me. You all called me on the call as a Moray, so that automatically placed me under my oath. So under my oath, I'm commanded to tell you the truth to the best of my abilities, knowledge, and wisdom, and spare your feelings not.
Hallelujah.
This has nothing to do with your feelings. I need to give you the facts so you can make a proper informed decision, if that makes sense. So I would wager to say, and in my life experience, I would say the reason that I myself had failed to cover my wife has been emotionally. The number one area where a man will fail to cover his wife will be emotionally. Unfortunately, most of our men are too emotionally immature and too effeminate in their feelings to cover a wife emotionally. It is your duty as a husband to guard your wife's emotions. Think about it. Just think about it for a minute. Your wife is the woman, I pray you are blessed to do so. Your wife is the woman that's going to duplicate you, going to replicate you. She's going to receive your seed of compilation and form another human being in her womb and bring forth that life on the earth. And that human being will be a genetic copy of yourself. If your wife is not being covered emotionally, what do you think the child is feeling inside her womb? Whatever the mother eats, the child eats. Whatever the mother feels, the child feels. So if the mother is emotionally unstable, what problems you think the child's going to have when the child is born? Well, y'all think all these acronyms they have that they place on our children, ADT, DDT, whatever the acronyms they're using, where they want to medicate our children in elementary school because of their behavioral and emotional problems. Cross-contamination, the hormones in the food, this junk we call food, and the men failing to emotionally cover the woman while she's carrying the child. The child comes out in an emotional basket case. Why? Because the husband himself is emotionally immature and he's stressing the woman out. He failed to provide that strong, secure, emotional platform, that home that stress-free home where the wife can focus on forming that child in her womb, not focus on, is the mortgage going to be paid this month? If I go hit the light switch, will the light come on? Imagine that type of emotional stress if you as the husband are feeling at your duty to cover your wife emotionally. Some of the husbands do such foolish things that have their wives stressed out, and then they wonder why the wife will not submit to their authority as the head of the household. Sometimes one needs to do some self-examination, and then one will discover why the wife fails to submit to your authority as the husband. Your house is out of line because you, the head of the house, are out of line. It may not sound good. This may not be what you want to hear, but it's the truth and it's necessary. My beloved brothers, this is a necessary conversation that we as men in Israel need to have with each other. And spare our feelings not. Sometimes that's the problem. We're too effeminate with our feelings. We need to look at this from a logical standpoint, not from an emotional standpoint. And look at the facts as they are. Right. So first, I would say spiritually. Second, I would say emotionally. Third, I would say financially. Financially. Are you prepared to cover a wife financially? That's a serious question. That's a serious question. Most brothers are not. Most brothers are not. Are you prepared to cover a wife physically? The duties of a husband, the intimacy that a wife is going to require. Some of our men are not in physical condition to take care of themselves, let alone take care of the physical needs of a wife. I'm talking about my beloved brothers that's overweight for their height. I'm talking about my beloved brothers that have hypertension, high blood pressure due to their diet and the stressful lifestyle they lead. I'm talking about my brothers that are still out in the street trying to be gangster. You smoke a little bit of weed every now and then because you're claiming it's natural and from the earth. Yeah, you don't know who grew that crap that you putting in your system, that you brought from little Jim on the corner. Who produced that? And what did they spray on it as they were producing it? And funny, I hear some of the same brothers that speak against eating hybrid plants will go smoke some hybrid weed. All right. So are you physically able to cover your wife's physical needs before you as a man in Israel seek a wife? And I would argue that most are not. And you may say, well, Moray, where's the proof that you're arguing on? And the proof would be, how many of our beloved daughters of Zion desire a husband but have no suitable man to step forward to fill that role? Think about it for a minute. Think about it for a minute. Brothers, if you be honest with yourselves, you look at your peers and ask yourself, if you had a beloved virgin daughter in your household, or a sister, even if she was divorced or widowed, would you recommend that those women that you love in your family take some of your peers that you hang with and associate and fellowship with to be a husband? Be honest with yourself. Would you do so? Most of you would say, hell no, I wouldn't. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. My beloved brothers, we got some work to do. We need to roll our sleeves up and step up to the plate. If we are going to obey the Torah and rebuild this righteous, sanctified, set aside, holy nation upon the face of the earth for all the other nations to look upon as that light on top of the hill and emulate and imitate so they can receive salvation as well. If we're going to do that, we got to roll our sleeves up and get to work, because the foundation of that righteous nation are solid families that's in order, that's structured according to Torah. If we don't do that, that's the foundation to the nation. We're going to fail at the mission that the Creator has assigned us to rebuild this nation. We're going to fail.
You know what, Moray?
How we doing on time, my beloved brother? How we doing on time?
Don't worry about the time, but you're making it hard for me to cut you off, because every time I'm about to, you coming in with some jewels. So,
come on,
Hey, man, you killing it.
come on
man.
with it,
You
brother.
killing it.
let me give you the
Come on with it.
question. You probably already answered the question. Correct me if I'm wrong, tomorrow, y'all, but I'm just gonna throw it out there anyway. The first question is, because we still have one, two, I think like two more questions after these. So the first question is, what are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? What are some common assumptions about the role of a husband?
When you look at the society that we live in, and you look at the media, what role the media plays in our social programming, oh man, that's a question that could take hours to answer. What I try to do is I try to debunk and try to deflect the assumptions, because there are a lot of things that we assume that a husband should do. And I look to Torah to see what duties a husband should do instead of assuming, because most of our assumptions are going to be based on the social programming that we're receiving from the media that we're watching and consuming. You look at shows like let me think on those shows, Atlanta Housewives. A lot of our beloved daughters of Zion believe that the men they see on those type of shows, those type of social programming shows, a lot of them believe that that's the role that the husband should play, the same role they see those men playing on those shows. And most of those men are very dysfunctional. Unfortunately, we are a people, we believe that monetary or financial success equals spiritual and physical and social success, but they do not. The two do not go hand in hand. There are a lot of rich fools on the face of the earth, and a lot of us have those assumptions as to what a husband is supposed to do. If I may use this term, unfortunately, a lot of our sisters believe that their husbands should be simps, basically. A lot of them believe it, whether they can confess it or not. A lot of them believe it. They're not looking for a husband to be a true head of a household. And if you look at it from a sensible standpoint, I'm not just saying that that means the husband's supposed to come into the house, pound his fist on the table, and everybody line up and do everything that the husband is instructing them to do simply because he's the head of the household. I'm saying a sister should submit herself to a husband that has the wisdom to lay his vision for his household out in such a manner that that woman should be able to visualize the role she plays in that household, like a movie she's imagined, like a movies that she saw on the big screen television. And she should see herself being fulfilled in that role as the wife of this particular man. A man should have a 5-year plan for his household, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, and if he's young enough, even a 30-year plan for his household that he should be able to explain to his wife or potential wife to where she can see it like it's playing in a movie in her mind. And she should be able to see herself playing one of the leading roles in that household and being fulfilled as a woman in that role. I'm not sure if that properly answered your question or not, but
that supersedes. as an answer. That was a great answer.
Hallelujah.
Before we go forward, is there any panel that want to say anything? I feel like this show gonna go past 2 o'clock. By the way, y'all. You know, I'm good with it. It's up to y'all, but I'm loving it. But is there anything that the panel has? Any questions for the Morey Shalim or for Shaul before we go to the next question? Chief Zebulon, Yashiyahu, Tamar, Shamika, anybody? Go ahead, Tamar.
I want to keep jumping in, but I don't want to jump in. But if you might us want to say something, just I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay. Just to echo what the Morey said about uh, a woman and submitting and wanting to be in that situation. I think we said it before that most women, I think I can say that. I'm not sure. I haven't met every woman in the world, but I would say that most women naturally want to be in that situation where they feel protected and loved. And even in a situation where the man is not air quote righteous, women still follow that. You have this whole rather die chick thing. So it's in us innately. So I can just only affirm what he said as a woman that, yeah, like a woman that, especially a woman that's trying to embody the Torah, of course, that makes sense because it's not that you will be following him per se. You will be following what you both say you agree is the way we should live, which is a Torah. So I just wanted to just affirm that as a woman, just for balance sake, to say that it's not just the brothers that think that. A lot of women I want a righteous husband. And even in the conversation that we've been talking about with my husband, he was financially prosperous, but I didn't know none of this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? He did the best that he could, God rest his soul, but it wasn't, if only we had information beforehand, you know what I'm saying? So, but I'm encouraged by the conversation, and we have to just admit that we don't know what we're doing. I think I said it a while back. Like I had a breakdown recently where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think if we be honest with ourselves and say that, then we make room for the Creator to fill us back up with the information that we need to have in order to function properly. So that's what I'm saying.
That was wisely said.
I agree with Tamar. And being married, I'm sitting here like a full-blown student, like soaking everything you saying in. So I definitely appreciate everything that you putting out and all the information and wisdom that you're giving us, because I'm still a baby and we only 13 years in and still working to grow. So any wisdom we can get, we fully accept.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's wisdom. That's wisdom. That's wisdom. My beloved brother, what were some of the other questions that you mentioned?
Well, I don't know if Saul is good because he said earlier. Saul, you want to go with the next question real quick, man? Go ahead, speak your piece, your wisdom. Speak your wisdom.
Well, I do want to say one thing though, before we move forward. Always give the Torah says you give honor to your elders or the hoary head. So I just want to give or like the New Testament says, double honors. So I want to give honors to all the elders, not just Morey Shalim, but all the elders who has his mindset, to the elder women, to the men that is out here, because they out here, they don't get a lot of recognition, and I wanted to get him on this platform so that people can know, like, this man been doing it for a long time. Like, he been doing this for a long time, and he done a lot of great work in Israel, providing information and wisdom and things like that in regards to relationships and marriage and building up. I know this is a little off topic, but this is also the land guy. Like, this is the agriculture, farm, land guy right here. And you want to know anything about having your own property and your land and farming and all that, this guy's the expert right here. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I also wanted to
Praise the Creator.
Also wanted to give my send my blessings and my peace and my thanks to you guys for even having the platform for us to even speak on, and then for even inviting me to speak on it. Like, who am I to even be able to speak on this issue, on these topics? You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to get that. But yeah, we can move forward. He basically covered like it really. That's what I was saying. He was gonna kill my answer anyway. So it wasn't really nothing I was gonna be able to say that was gonna top it. Like that's why I was like I'm gonna keep my answer short and simple, and then I'm gonna let him give the more complex breakdowns and the scriptures and all that time. I might give a little scripture, but I'm gonna let him do all that, and I'm gonna let him go extensive with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, give it to him because he got the he's of an eldest age. He got the experience, the whole nine. So I let him have it. But yeah, we can move to the next question. I'll answer to the best of my ability and get my insight on it, and we just keep it pushing.
Most definitely. Before we go forward, too, I wanna thank the chief, Chief Zebulon too. I consider him an elder as well, for actually
Hallelujah.
encouraging, well, not encouraging, but suggesting, sorry, that we do, because we was going to bring some things out too, but he actually was like, you know what, no, let them go and bring the perspective they have and the wisdom that they have. So I want to also make sure I put them in the mix for uh, deciding to kind of like stand down in a sense, for lack of a better word, being that he's also an elder as well, chief as well. So before we go forward, I just wanted to do that and thank all of y'all listening in, man. Let's get some more of this wisdom. So the next question, we're gonna start with Saul first, is what does it actually mean? Well, shoot, I think y'all both already talked about this. So we go to the next question, tomorrow, or the next question is what does it actually mean to be a husband? It seems like they kind of touched on this already. What you think? Should we go to the
Yeah,
next question?
I mean,
yeah,
I could touch on it from a personal perspective,
Okay, okay.
just to give some deeper insight, and I also too, man, I want to give Zebulon thanks as well, man. Hey, brother, we got to get up, man, and start talking a lot more. I know we chopped it up a couple times, man, but I definitely want to get your wisdom and insight on things about life as well. But anyway, ask the question again, Shemai, just so I can make sure I get it in context and I'll answer to the best of my ability.
the question is,
So
go ahead.
likely, what does it actually mean to be a husband? I apologize, y'all.
What does it mean to be a husband? Okay, so I start with my biological father, who I love dearly. And I'm not going to touch on every aspect. I'm just going to touch on a certain aspect of what I saw coming up, having two parents in the house that I thought meant a lot to a marriage. Um, and um, and that's this. Um, to touch on a point that Marshalline brought out about a woman's emotions and protecting a woman emotionally, I couldn't agree more because it's essentially important. It's a big thing to understand as a man. Sometimes and sometimes we don't always understand a woman's emotions. Sometimes we don't always sometimes we neglect them. Sometimes we overlook a woman's emotions. Sometimes we disregard a woman's the way a woman feels and her nature, how the Most High created the woman. And that's definitely a detrimental thing if you're talking about a long-term relationship, because it can tear things down. So when I was coming up, some of the things I seen my father do, because it's like listening to what a woman says and her body language and how she feels about certain things is very, very important. It's just like they say, the little things mean the most. And so I remember as a child, um, my mother was my mother wasn't she wasn't a girly girl per se, but she still had those moments where some of those little things. And I'm just trying to give an example of what I mean by, you know, covering your wife emotionally. And even though this is not necessarily the biggest thing, I'm just trying to give an example of some of the things I see my father do that I thought was really, really important. Is one of those things was my mother loved to she loved to dance. So and my dad loved to dance too. But I remember, my dad used to work at Ford back in the day. And so on the weekends, Friday, you get paid or whatever, and he get home and he had a vinyl record player. They used to have all these different albums and stuff. And so, my mom would be waiting because she was a stay-at-home mom. And so he get home and he say, put on something nice. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm about to put this record on. We about to get something cracking. You know what I'm saying? And so these are things that that made my mother glow. That made her blush. These are things that made her believe in who he was as a man. Also, another aspect, and I would say this is an emotional thing, a financial thing as well, is that going to Marshalleen's point as well, as far as a man covering his wife financially and as well as emotionally, because I mean it could be an emotional strain to be in a financial hardship or struggle or whatever for especially for a woman, because most women, they like security, they want security. And so besides my father dancing with my mother and them having their little candlelight dinners and stuff like that, and listening to music and talking to each other about whatever she wanted to talk about, whenever we had our hard times, if my father said, "Don't worry about it, baby, I got it, I'm gonna take care of it," he always came through. And what that does, what that does for a woman, and what that did for my mother, what I saw is that helped her believe that, man, okay, this a man that's integral, that holds on to his word. He has integrity. And that's why I always talk about integrity. I learned that from my father coming up. Integrity is very key. When the most important thing a man got is his word. And when you speak on something, you got to come through. And so that was what he did as a child. So I could see that she had an unbelievable amount of belief and faith in him as a husband, as a man, because when he said, "I'm gonna do it," he did it. And she never doubted. You know what I'm saying? She never doubted. And so I would say that those are two examples I have seen coming up that of covering the woman emotionally, or covering the woman financially, that I think is good aspects. Now, from my own personal experience being married, is this. Like I said, I've been married for 11 years. Me and my wife got together. We was teenagers. She was a senior in high school. She was 17 years old, getting ready to turn 18. I was 19 years old. And and we was very, very young. We was not in the faith yet. We wasn't in the scriptures or anything like that. And so I always tell brothers, I always try to encourage brothers that's young, that never get married when you're that young. Don't get married. Don't get into a serious relationship when you're that young, because it's a lot that you don't understand. It's a lot that you don't have mentally and maturity wise. And a lot of the times you don't even have a plan for yourself or what you see as far as knowing how to take care of a family of your own. But me being in that situation, I had learned a lot. I took on a lot of weight. I got a lot of bumps and bruises, a lot of scars along the way. And I wasn't always the best husband. In our younger years as a relationship coming up. And so, but some of the things that I improved on as a man, and I'll give you the bad and I'll give you the good. So the bad was things like this. When he say emotional, I wasn't good at that, because I wasn't good at that in my earlier years, because I was like, why we on that? You know what I'm saying? It was like I was very dismissive. you know what I'm saying, I was dismissive of how she felt about certain things. And I didn't realize, and that was because I hadn't went through a process that I suggest all brothers go through, is that spending time alone, spending time by yourself as a young man, meditating and getting your relationship, your spiritual relationship and knowledge and understanding together and wisdom together while you're young is better before you enter a relationship, because it can be emotionally taxing if you don't know what you're doing. And I'm speaking that from experience. And so I was very, very dismissive as a husband early on with her in regards to um, her emotions and things of that nature. And I would be like, man, I ain't thinking about that. Like, we doing like, nah, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to learn that the hard way by, us going, and having arguments and going through certain things with each other that I said, I had to learn from that. The good thing is that when I got a little older, we have been through so much together. I had grew a little bit. I became a truck driver. I got my license, and I spent a lot of time. I was telling because I actually I met Shemai in person last night for the first time, and we chopped it up. Me, him, and my other aunt, we chopped it up, and I was telling him that the biggest takeaway the biggest takeaway from the trucking industry, me being a truck driver and me making the money financially to provide for my family and have and have the stability that I have had throughout this whole point that I've been married, is that me spending time on the road by myself had allowed me to reflect on all the negative things and all the bad things that I have done to my wife, and all the things that I have done that was immature to my wife as we grew together. And so one day I called her up. This was probably like 4 years ago. And I should have been did this before that, but I had apologized to her. And we talked for a couple of hours on the phone. I apologized to her, and I told her, I said, you know what, I realized that I made so many mistakes as a husband, and that I should have done things. I wish I had the understanding and had done things a lot differently when we was younger. And I apologize to her for everything, all my wrongdoings. And women. One thing about women, when you wrong, they want you to go into detail about how wrong you was. You know what I'm saying? And so I want brothers to understand that if you admitting that you're wrong to your wife, please go into detail, because they're gonna be like, so yeah, when you was wrong that one time, what did you do? You know what I'm saying? They they want to make sure that you know specifically, like, yeah, you was off. You know what I'm saying? And so I went into detail about the things that I have said that was negative, the things that I have done that was negative towards her, like being dismissive, um, not always being there for her the way that I should have, not always being there financially for her as I should have. I apologize to her for marrying. I actually apologized to her a couple of years ago just for marrying her too young, because I wasn't ready. I didn't understand what it took to be a husband. I didn't understand that. And so because of that, that put us in a position to where the way that we grew with each other and the way that we came through came up through our relationship and marriage with each other was very it's not the way I suggest anybody go through, because if you get through it, that'll be great. But if you don't make it through it, it can be very, very painful. It can be hurtful, because it's a lot of battle scars, a lot of wounds, and a lot of things that you get from going through a relationship like that when you're not ready, when you don't know what you want, when you don't know where you're going, when you don't have no plan, when you don't have your money together. So I always stress to brothers that if you want to wear the crown, and this is the last point I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna let Maurice Salim take it, to all the brothers that's listening. If you want to wear the crown, because it's a very, very important position as far as a husband goes, and a very, very burdensome and it's a very, very important thing. You know what I'm saying? That has to be taken extremely serious with your life. You have to be blood in, blood out if you want to be a husband. And so, to that point, I say, you brothers need to understand that if you want to wear the crown and you want to sit on that throne, a lot of things must be understood, a lot of accountability, a lot of patience and balance, and just understanding where you are as a man and what you're capable of. Very, and trying to understand that before you take on the role of a husband. And for the brothers who are already married, like I did, and still just trying to figure things out, I would suggest that you take a certain period of time each day to yourself to reflect and meditate and fast, at least once a week, and take time to understand what it is that role is. Because when you put that crown on, you can't take it off. You have to be integral and hold fast to what you say and what you do. Hold fast to what you say and what you do. And so with that being said, I say shalom to all the brothers out there that's looking forward to becoming a husband and so on and so forth. I understand how important it is, and don't do it if you don't have a plan, if you don't have no money, and if you ain't got yourself together. Don't get married if you're not already married. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I say shalom. Marshaline, take it over. Go ahead and kill it.
What am I doing with him, y'all? Well, he took care of that one. What's your next question, my beloved brother Shema?
Okay, let me get it real quick. Yeah,
Right.
you touched on a lot of it already too. Honestly, you gave us a whole encyclopedia. You know what I'm saying?
Cain, hallelujah. Praise the Creator, praise the Creator. And I like the lamb back because we are Hebrews and we practice a practical application of Torah. We don't consume pork, so I can't piggyback on it. So let me lamb back. So let me lamb back on what Saul said. I'd like to also thank you all for honoring me and invite me to this blessed platform. And thank your elders as well for being over the platform and blessing it with their wisdom as well and making sure it endures. I really appreciate that. I don't take that lightly. Thank you so much.
Definitely. So the next
Yes, sir.
question is, what, when considering marriage, and this is actually I'm sorry. Wait, is this the next question tomorrow? When considering marriage, what should a woman look for? Okay. When considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband? When considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband?
Once again, when you look at the society we live in today, we see so many of our beloved daughters joining with a man because I'm not saying that love is not important. That's not what I'm saying. Let me give that disclaimer. But we see so many of our beloved daughters joining with a man because they are under the influence of the drunkenness of this emotional state we call love. When you're in such an emotional state, you're going to be blinded to certain warning signs. I think Tina Turner summed it up best when she said, what love got to do with it? Love. Marriage is more than just love. And once again, I'm not saying love is not important. People always get bent out of shape when I make this factual statement. Marriage is more than just love. This is so important, I need to say it again. Marriage is more than just love. There are going to be times when you and your spouse are going to be at odds with each other to the point where you will not, let me put emphasis on that word, you will not be in love with your spouse. Some of you married folk know what I'm talking about. There are going to be times where you and your spouse are going to be at odds with each other. And during that time, you will not be in love with your spouse. During that time, you need something else, some other form of glue, some other bond to hold the family together, to hold the marriage together until you can make it through that bad period when you are not in love with your spouse. You need something else to hold it together. And the question that the sister asked was, what should a sister look for in a husband? What direction is that man traveling in? Where is he going? What are his goals in life? And can you identify with them? And can you see yourself completing that journey with him? A simple way to put it is, are the two of you equally yoked? And a lot of us don't understand that old analogy. Our ancestors lived in an agrarian lifestyle. So a lot of their language, a lot of their analogies that they use in everyday speech would have agricultural connections. You wouldn't take an ox, a large animal, and put a yoke around the ox's neck and then yoke that ox to a donkey. Those two animals are not equally yoked. They were not intended to be yoked together to pull the plow, because the yoke that's on the ox's neck is going to be up high and the yoke that's on the donkey's neck is going to be lower. So you're going to have a problem. That yoke's going to be rubbing on that ox's neck, and he's going to start bucking and kicking, and you're not going to get that field plowed. You're going to fail at the mission, because you got two animals yoked together to perform a function that were not intended to be yoked together. Marriage is the same way. Sometimes we yoke two people together in a marriage that should have never had a conversation, let alone a so-called meaningful relationship. So many times, I know you've all seen it, so many times I look at some of my beloved daughters and I look at the man they call husband, and I'm like, how in the Hell did that mess happen? How did they even have a conversation? They have absolutely nothing in common. She's a registered nurse working on her master's degree, trying to become a nurse practitioner. He's 35 years old at the house making mixtape, talking about he got a CD gonna drop. His rap CD gonna drop next month. He's been saying it for the last 15 years. What you doing with this fool? What you doing with him?
Sound like my
And
sister.
then you talk about you got some problems in your marriage? What you expect?
It's hilarious.
What you expect?
Hilarious.
You look at who you married. What you expect? What do you expect? My beloved sister earlier said that we are still babes in this. And that was a beautiful statement. Let me share something with you all. I'm blessed by our beloved Creator to have been on this earth for 52 years. I'm 52 and I still have chief elders that tell me what the hell to do. Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. I'm 52 and I still don't know it all. We got to get out of this Western Eurocentric mindset that I'm grown, I can do it all on my own, I don't need no help. This is a question that I ask the beloved sisters that come to me as an elder in Israel and desire to place themselves under my hand as the covering of a kinsman. This is the question I have to ask them. If you believe you are grown and you believe you can do it on your own, choosing a spouse, make life decisions, if you believe you are grown enough to do it on your own, ask yourself this question, and don't answer the question out loud, because if you answer it out loud, your pride is going to tempt you to lie to me as an elder. Answer this question to yourself, and I want each of you that's listening to ask yourself this question. If you're grown and you think you can do it all on your own, are you satisfied with the position you hold in life right now? Are you satisfied with the past decisions that you made that got you where you are? Or do you believe that you can do better? Are you satisfied with your standard of living? Are you satisfied with your financial situation? Are you satisfied with your relationship status right now? Are you satisfied with your career path or your job or your unemployment or your underemployment? Are you satisfied with where you are in life right now? And if you are satisfied, then you don't need to be under my hand as an elder. Continue to do it on your own. You grown. Y'all bless you. But if you are not satisfied, ask yourself this question. Who was the adult that thought they were grown, that made the decisions that place you where you are right now? Who did that? And if you're not satisfied, and this is what my elders taught me, if you're not satisfied, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not as grown as you think you are. Let that sink in for a second. Maybe you're not as grown as you think you are. Maybe you should pray to the Creator and seek out an elder in your circle and absorb that elder and see, are they blessed with wisdom? Are they blessed with understanding? Do they fear the Creator? Do they have the people's best interests at heart, which includes yourself? Do they have fruit to prove that they have wisdom? Are they successful at what you endeavor to do in life? And maybe you should cede a small part of your adult autonomy, a small part of your adult authority. Maybe you should cede a small part of that to that elder and let them make certain life experiences and make certain life decisions for you based on the experience they are blessed to already have, and see if the outcome is different. If the outcome is not different, if you don't see no improvement, you can always go back to being grown and doing it on your own. You ain't got nothing to lose. Look at the situation you're in right now. Now, if you're satisfied, this conversation is not for you. This is for those that's not satisfied. And that's one of the problems we have in Israel. No accountability. I'm grown, I can do it on my own. Really? Really? Where's the fruit to prove that you're doing it on your own successfully? Are you satisfied? You know better than we do. Are your finances tore up from the floor up? Maybe you're not as grown as you think you are. Now, if your finances are tore up from the floor up, should you be seeking a spouse? Especially my men, my brothers. If you know you can't manage a dollar and pinch a dime, should you be seeking a spouse at this time in life? That's an honest question you got to ask yourself. If you still impulse shopping, I would say you are too financially immature to be a husband. How you gonna run a household and you impulse shopping? How? It's not complicated. It is not. Look at Torah. Practical application of Torah is what we should practice. That means simply using Torah for your everyday life decisions. Look at the instructions and the examples. Look at how our ancestors used Torah for problem solving. And look at how the men in Torah seeked a spouse. They had some elders involved the majority of the time. And when you see some elders weren't involved, it didn't always work out right. Didn't always work out right. Look at the story of Samson. Didn't always work out right. Just think about it. Why go beat your head against a brick wall and try to do it on yourself if you have no experience? Why? Why? I got to ask that again. Why? Look at some of the hot messes we call marriages in Israel. And I'm trying my best to be polite because this is a family show. So I'm choosing my words carefully. Look at some of the hot messes we call marriages in Israel. Really? You really think you've grown? No, very good question. What should a woman look for? The women that place themselves to me, that assign that duty to me to seek out a spouse, a husband for them. If the man is not under some eldership, he's automatically disqualified.
Ooh.
He's
Man,
automatically
tell him
disqualified.
how we do it, man. Tell him how we do it.
He automatically disqualified. If he cannot introduce me to his elder, so his elder can tell me what mission, what path, what plan he is on, he's automatically disqualified till he gets that straight. Think about it, my beloved sisters. Think about how many times you are in a relationship and you find out that the joker that you're in the relationship with is a knucklehead. A knucklehead is a person that's a special kind of stupid. A knucklehead is a person that will not listen even though he's receiving counsel for his own good. Not for your benefit, for his benefit. You give somebody counsel for their benefit and they won't listen to benefit themselves, that's a knucklehead. You need to put distance between yourself and a knucklehead. Now, if you just met this person at the club while you was getting down, he done brought you a couple of drinks, and now y'all kicking it, y'all exchange phone numbers, and you don't have anyone that has known him that can discern whether he is a knucklehead or not, and you enter into a relationship with him, you might end up getting pregnant and duplicating that knucklehead. That's the root cause of most of the marriage. That's the root cause of the problems in most of the marriages that we have in Israel today. So what should a woman look for in a husband? Is he a knucklehead? And if he has a little bit of knucklehead in him because he's still young, does he have an elder that he has submitted to that can straighten that out for him? Does he have that? It's actually a blessing. We as Hebrew Israelites, when you look at Torah, we as Hebrew Israelite men especially should be proud to be able to claim what elder whose hand we are under. We should claim that the same way you see these knuckleheads out in the street gang banging, the same way they claim they're set with pride. Man, I'm from 642 here. I'm 672, man. Whatever zip code they representing, they do it with pride. We as Hebrew men should have an elder with some sense that we place ourselves under, and we should claim that elder with the same pride that them knuckleheads and them gangs claim they're set and they're OGs with. There's nothing to be ashamed of if you place yourself under another man with more wisdom than you are blessed to have at this stage in your life. It's actually a blessing, because a man with some sense will not allow any knucklehead to place themselves under his hand. So that says something for you. That opens certain doors for you. When you can go to a gathering of fellow Hebrews and introduce yourself as the warrior that's pledged to so-and-so, elder so-and-so back home. And those elders there can say, oh, yeah, we know him. Come sit down right here, young man. They give you a seat of honor because of that. Certain doors that will not open for you previously are now open to you, including the introduction to the young women that those elders may have under their hand that they are seeking a husband for. But if you show up Johnny come lately knucklehead, those doors shouldn't open to you. It's called order, structure. The Creator created the earth with a certain order. The Creator gave us the law, statutes, and judgment to give us order and structure. If you do not have order and structure, then you are not in line with Torah, and you are not in line with our beloved Creator. It's just that simple. So I apologize for the long answer, but what should a sister look for in a husband? Is he under some type of order, some type of guidance? Who is he submitting to? Why should you submit yourself to him as a wife if he hasn't learned to submit himself to someone? Why?
Ooh-wee.
How does he know how to guide and lead if he's not being guided and led? Ain't nothing complicated about it. Ain't nothing complicated about it. Brothers, don't mean to hurt your feelings, just telling you the truth. I'm commanded to do so. Don't hate the messenger.
Appreciate that, Moray. You know you're making it tough for me. Making it tough for me to catch your wisdom, man. It's so hard. Hallelujah. Before we get
Hallelujah.
into
Hallelujah.
before I let Shaul in with to answer this, I want to introduce y'all to Moray Shamar. It's kind of funny, right? I'm Shamar, he's Shamar. But anyway,
Hey, there go my eye right there.
Moray Shamar, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna catch him up to the questions before this last one, and then we're going
Hallelujah.
to allow Shaul to finally answer this last question. Then let Moray Shamar answer the last question afterwards, and then we will allow either the panel or anyone else if they have any questions for the three brothers, and then we have a closing. That sound good, Sister Tamar? That's cool. All right, so
Sounds good to me.
Moray Shamar, what we're gonna do before we get you started on the questions, I think it's only 2 questions before this anyway.
Mhm.
Give us a breakdown of yourself, who you are, and then of a husband. For those who's listening in, correct me if I'm wrong, Moray Shamar. So we know that Moray Shalim is about 25 and a half years of marriage. We know that if I'm wrong, correct me, Moray Shalim. We know that Shaul is 11 years. So now I'm about to open the door and shut up and let Moray Shamar introduce himself, his marriage, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you the questions after you're done with your introduction.
Shalom, shalom, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you.
Yes,
My
sir.
name is Moray Shamar. I am the shepherd or pastor, whatever you want to call it, over Fortified Spirit Ministries here in Rockford, Illinois. I have under my belt 18 years of marriage total. I was previously married, and I call that the starter wife, and that was from the decisions that I made, not listening. So I was in that for 10 years. And I am in the marriage that I was supposed to be to my Isha, my love, 8 years.
Okay,
Got anything else you want to know? Because I try to keep it short because there's a lot to go. Yeah, I'll keep it short.
Appreciate it. Before I go with the questions, did I asked the right I asked them the right intro question, right? Panel.
Also to let you know, yeah, sorry to cut you off. It's like I've also been in ministry 19 years, going on 20 years. So
okay,
I have an understanding of what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know what I know.
All right, going into the questions. Then. So the very first question. Go ahead.
And I can co-sign. I can co-sign for my beloved Moray Shamar. I can co-sign. Moray Shamar, we just spoke about elders. Tell them who your elders are, man. Give a plug, my beloved brother.
This is my elder brother, Moray Shalim. I've decided to go with Nation Builders. So that's my older brother. That's my Aki, my elder Aki, Moray Shalim.
Love you too. Love you too. Love you too.
All right. So I'm gonna give you what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna read the questions out to you, and if you want me to repeat them, I will. But I'm gonna give them all to you. So if you want to just do a whole lump sum or whatever, you can. Or we can do question by question. But okay. The first question is, what are some common assumptions about the role of a husband? Do you want me to stop there? Or you want me to go ahead and read the next one off too?
You can stop there. I'm gonna hit each point and try to make it short and sweet.
Okay, so what are some common assumptions about the role of a husband?
Well, I believe that one of the main common assumptions is that he does everything. He basically has to be the manager, be down everybody's backs, down everybody's throats. Basically, he does everything. He fathers everybody to the extent of they don't know how to do anything. That's one of the many different things. Another one that I feel is that he basically is just there to give everybody what they need or what they want. Is a misconception. Also, another misconception is that he's domineering. And what I've learned is you don't, true submission isn't forced. You don't force people to submit. A true leader I learned this from my father, from the men of my family. I learned this in the military. True leaders make you want to submit to them by what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sign of a true leader. That's a sign to me of a true man. People submit to you because they see, like what my elder brother has said earlier, they need to see you submit. If I don't see you submitting to the Father, you ain't got to worry about me. And so the thing is, when we submit to Yahweh, higher power, if you want to call him that, the creator, whatever you call him, you have to make sure that you submit to him. And you have to go by his plan. You don't try to dominate people. You show them. That's a true leader. Is I show you how to follow. Not beat you down, not mistreat you. I show you by my actions.
Hallelujah.
My wife submits to me willfully, not because I forced her. I showed her what manner of man I am. And then we also even have to look in with the whole submission thing is both parties submit to each other. Now, I know there's some people that might feel a certain way about it. I don't care. Both parties have to submit to each other. Submit yourselves to each other. It looks different because the thing is with marriage, it's everybody has their own roles. Man has his role. Woman has her role. When they stay in their roles and they both submit to the Father and to each other, then you have a good family. We don't have the breakdowns that we see now. I remember telling you earlier when we talked yesterday, the husband, and I'll let you get to the next question. The husband is the spirit of the family. The wife is the nefesh, or the soul of the family. And the fathers aren't there. There's no spirit, so that means there's no breath. And when there's no breath, there's no life. And then we see what happens in our families. Look at the dichotomy of our families. The spirit, I told you, the spirit is the mind, it's the will, it's the intellect. The nefesh of the soul is the emotion, it's the passion. So take that now, if there's no woman, no mother in the house, there's no soul, there's no passion, there's no emotion, there's just a whole bunch of just will and mind. So you still end up being imbalanced.
Powerful. I'm not cutting your wisdom, Moray. Keep going if you need to.
That was killer. Man, killed it, man. My brother killed that thing, man.
I'm ready for the next question. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet.
Now y'all see why I love him so. Now y'all see why I love him so.
Appreciate you. Before we go forward, I want to pose a question too. You brought your wife up. If she's interested, if you and her, agree upon it, if she's interested, next week we have tomorrow. What's the topic again for next week? I'm sorry. So luckily.
Yep, it's role playing part 2, becoming a wife.
So we would love, a wife that's been, wives that's been married and for a good amount of years, success and things of that nature, to come on and bless us, be a part of the panel, kind of like how you and Maurice Shalim and Shaul was on it. So if you all, agree upon it, maybe she'd like to be on next week and be a guest speaker as well and give us her wisdom.
I'll see. Well, I'll talk to her about it and see where she is because I got a pregnant wife right now.
Oh yeah. Hallelujah.
I'm very protective of mine. So I'll see. And I'll get in touch with you, let you know if she'll be able to do it.
Most definitely. Just want to throw that out there. So next question is, what does it actually mean to be a husband? What does it actually mean to be a husband?
I'll hit it from this standpoint. When you look at husband, I also think of husbandmen. And when you look at husbandmen or husband, it basically denotes a farmer. You remember I heard my younger brother Shaul talking earlier about in Bereshit or Genesis about the husband and the wife role. And you look at when the father basically gave them the punishment for eating of the fruit, he told Adam that you're going to have to till the ground, right? And it's going to give you thorns and thistles. A husband was supposed to be a farmer. Adam was given 2 jobs. One, to be the farmer of the Garden of Eden, but then he also gave him another garden, which was the woman. Adam didn't tend to the garden the way he should have, so the Nahash came in. Adam didn't tend to the garden that Yah gave him of his wife. The Nahash was able to get in and plant a seed in her mind there. So when we look at for a husband, what I think a husband is as a farmer, your ground is going to give you what you give to it. Yah, even though Yah told him that he was going to have thorns and thistles that was going to fight him, he didn't say that he wouldn't be able to be productive. So he was still able to plant some of the same fruits that he had in the Garden of Eden. But the thing is, he had to work at it. So one of the first things for a husband or a husbandman is a farmer who works. He's willing to cultivate that ground. He has to break up that ground. Anybody that has farming background, they know they got to break up the ground so they can get it fertile. Then they can plant the seed. What's wrong with a lot of husbands is they don't want to break the ground. They want to purchase the land and just expect to just plant a seed and things are just supposed to just gestate and grow. They don't work. And then a lot of them don't want to work like they should. They don't want to, they want to do a little bit of work, get upset because it's not giving them what they want. Then they'll look to get rid of that land or get another one instead of tilling what they're supposed to till. So a farmer and a husband are one. They have to be patient. They have to be willing to do the work. They have to be willing to do it at the sweat of their brow. And the thorns and thistles will continue to come if you don't cultivate that ground. A lot of wives are products of their husband. I'll say that again. A lot of wives are products of their husband. If that wife isn't acting right, it's because the husband isn't doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to teach her. A lot of people want somebody to already have it because people don't want to work. A husband has to be willing to work. Husband has to be willing to plant. A husband has to be willing to teach. He is the first teacher of the home. Everybody looks at the wife a lot of times. Oh, she teaches the children. She does. But the thing is, who taught her? He has a system. He teaches it to the wife first. So that even when he's not around, his teaching is still going on because she's teaching it to the children.
Amen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Was that the end of your wisdom, Murray, for that question?
Well, I guess
Well, I know you got a lot more wisdom, but you know what I meant, though.
I'm trying to make it short and sweet because I got a lot of stuff I'm doing at the same time. But the thing is, when that man actually tills that ground right and he works at it, he's able to finally get the fruits. Mm-hmm. And then he's able to eat of the fruits. He's able to enjoy those fruits. So we have to not just look at the end game. We have to look at the beginning. And we have to go through. Hallelujah. You got to want it bad enough. You also, when you get that piece of land, you got to realize it means something to me. So I'll say a lot of husbands fail when they don't treat their position as a purpose. You got to have a purpose and a function. We, especially in Israel, we like titles. We title people. But when I was in the military, you had to earn that title. Everybody, I'll say that everybody that had the title didn't earn it. Some just got it for how long they were in. But you still had to prove yourself, especially as you went higher in rank. There are certain things you had to do. You had to go before a board. You had to spit that lit. You had to know what you were talking about. You had to be able to do that title and do that position. So I'll say this, and this will be the last thing I'll say with this question is, in order to be a husband, you first got to have a purpose and a function and know what it is, or sit down and wait.
Hallelujah. Appreciate that, Murray.
Did he come with it or what, y'all? Did he come with it or what?
He can't. Come on now. Before we go, I do want to say something because I'm probably gonna forget. I was gonna say it like when we do our little closing, but so we're gonna go to this last question for Saul. But before we go, this is the very reason why, and everybody that knows me on this show know that I've been in it for a minute. But what's one of the one things y'all hear me say? I never say that I'm a teacher. And the reason I never say I'm a teacher is because of this. I admire and I love the fact of what Moray Shamar just brought out, what Moray Charlene brought out as far as how he became Moray and Chief Zebulon. They were giving those titles. Giving those titles. They didn't just say, I'm a chief. Yo, I'm a Moray. I want to be given a title, whether it be by, if it comes to that, whether it be through an elder or I know what Yah has for me, and what he has me doing, but I want to do things properly, and that's why I respect highly Chief Zebulon, why I respect highly Morey Salim, and now Morey Samar, because of that very point he just said, which kind of lambacked, not piggyback, like the Morey said earlier, off of Morey Salim, because Morey Salim got that title given to him as well. So appreciate the words of wisdom, everybody, and especially the lesson brought with Chief Zebulon, who actually brought that to me a little while ago too. Going forward, Shaul, last question, and then we're going to let Maurice Shamar in with the question. And then if it's anybody that has any questions for the Maurice, for the Maureen, sorry. And then for Shaul, we'll let that happen. If not, closing remarks and we out. So the last question, let me go to it. I apologize, you all, Salakli. The last question for you, Shaul, just so you remember. When considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband? When considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband?
Okay. I actually got some questions for sisters to think about. But before I do that, I'm gonna use the term my dear Morey Shalim used, lamb back. Let me lamb back off of some the brother Shamar said about being a husband, and it was something I was thinking about when he was speaking. Is that it's very, very important for brothers to understand that you like Donnie Hathaway said it too, like on one of the songs. I was listening to it earlier. I think it was the song I never meant to hurt you or something, where he was basically saying, if I hurt you, I hurt myself. And Maurice Lean said this earlier when he was speaking about a man that does his wife dirty is doing himself dirty. And that's true, because symbolically, the woman being the rib, I mean, that is a piece of you that's missing. You know what I'm saying? Or that you're breaking, or that you're hurting. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you do something that's out of order or out of line. So I want brothers to understand that, John Boy said it the other day on the post about, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, that scripture or whatever. Hey, I know some people they be tripping off of that, sometimes, but it's true. It's true. And that's why I always say, tell brothers to take their time, figure out what it is you're gonna do, and understand that the woman is essential. She's important to this life, this existence that we have. And without her, regardless of what type of strength or authority that we are given, it means nothing without the woman, just like James Brown said, you know what I mean? And so another thing is I made a post about this a few days ago where I was saying that when it comes to relationships, everything look good and sound good when it's new, when it's fresh. But once you get several years in the game with someone, it really takes a lot of effort and work and commitment to keep things fresh, to keep things together, to keep things rolling. Because once you get past that infatuation phase, it's like now you have to start really, and you should have been doing it from the beginning, but it's like now you really have to start putting or living up to the role or the authority that you have taken on as a man. So I want to make sure that the brothers stay on that. And I always stay on the brothers' heads because, you guys are the ones that's leading the charge. And just like Shamar said, you guys have to know what you're doing, break up the ground, till the ground, and be a husbandman, and conduct yourself like a true husbandman under the Most High's authority, so that you can do what it is you need to do and lead your family, so that your wife can teach the children, as the brother said. Anyway, to answer the question, I had some questions that sister should be asking these brothers. You know, because I ain't gonna go to the go to route where Shalene went because I think he killed it already, and I know Shamar gonna kill it, but I'm gonna just keep it simple, and I'm gonna let them have it. There's a few things. One important thing that a sister should know is this: you should know what you want. It's very, very important for a woman to understand and know what she wants. Um, especially if you're gonna be this, I'm grown, I'm gonna do it on my own thing. But even with elders, that's gonna help you or guide you to a suitable candidate for a husband. It's very, very important that you know what you want. You know what I'm saying? And precise and actually understand, not just know what you want, understand why you want it. So that way, when you tell your elder or your elders, whoever is guiding you, what you want and why you want it, they can help you understand. Okay, whether that's the best, not just giving you a suggestion or giving you, words of wisdom or advice to help you understand what you're saying you want and why you want it. If that's the best way to look at it, or if that's the best mindset to have going into it. That way, you can assess and go back and reevaluate yourself, and let them help you evaluate yourself as you move forward. But moving forward to the brothers, and this is for the sisters to understand. These are questions you should be asking brothers. Is what is their concept of family? What are some of what are their goals? It's a major red flag if a brother has no goals. It's a major red flag if a brother has no plan, hasn't even thought of anything, hasn't even thought what his children's name is going to be, what plans he has for his children, what he's going to do with his children, what he's going to do with you as his wife. What has he accomplished already? What is it? What is his views on family structure? And these are all questions according to Torah. What are some things what are some things you value about marriage? And what do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And just to keep, and I ain't gonna go no further with it, but it's just to keep it simple. These are questions you should be asking a brother, and a brother who has great potential is a brother that can answer all those questions, and he should be able to. If he can't answer those questions, then he don't even know. He don't even know. Like, if you guys get together, he doesn't even know or truly understand exactly what are you guys gonna do together, let alone children, finances, living together. Because it's that saying out here that say you never know someone until you live with them. So these are things that you should be thinking about, you know what I'm saying, or having. And it's not to say that brothers should be you should be harsh on brothers or judge brothers and say that means that brothers ain't they're not a man or they're nothing because they don't answer. They just need a little bit more time and they should take that time to take that responsibility and accountability to understand what it is they want to do and how to move forward as a man and as a husband, and understand what that role entails, and have some elders and get counsel and wise counsel and things like that. And so those are things some of the things I would say that you should look for in a man is, does he know where he's going? Does he have vision? Does he have guidance? Does he have elders? Does he have someone that he seeks counsel from to understand how to make life decisions, as my elder would say? How can you make life decisions with no life experience? So I'm gonna yield with that one. and let Shamar take it. And so my whole response was just asking questions and understanding what you want and why you want it. And that was it. I say shalom and peace.
Appreciate that, Aki. All right, Samar, do you want me to reread the question, or you got it?
Yes, please read it for me.
All right. Question is, when considering marriage, what should a woman look for in a potential husband?
I think you and me talked about this a little bit the other day. I
Indeed.
know for me, I have an adoptive daughter. And also the women of Fortified, I've given them this tidbit for, I believe that a man and a woman should both have qualities written down of what they expect and what they're looking for in a mate. For a woman, and this is for a woman that has a father that's actually active in her life and is a good man, she should look for someone that has a lot of the characteristics of her father. Because her father is the first man that she comes in contact with. Her father is supposed to show her how she is supposed to be treated and what she is supposed to expect from a good man. So I know for my daughter, and the thing is, she doesn't have to worry about it because I'm going to take care of that, is they have to, in a sense, resemble me. They don't have to be me, but they have to have some of my qualities, because my daughter is not going to step down. She's not going to have anything less than what she was used to getting in my home. There's more to being a husband than just providing. Anybody can do that. Just providing the material things. You have to provide emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And so the thing is, a woman should look for a man, what she should look for in a husband is, if she doesn't have a father that's in her life, a good male role model. That's what's wrong with a lot of our women today. They just get anything. They're messing with Pookie, Ray Ray and them because they didn't have a father or a father figure that was positive and strong in their life to show them what they deserve, to show them how they should be treated, to show them what they should expect in a man. A lot of times we talk about what we expect, and don't mind my dog Rocky, what a lot of times we expect, we talk about is the expectations for what a man looks for in a woman, but no, we're not just gonna let the men get off. You have to truly be a man. You have to have a plan. You have to have a vision. So that's another thing I think for women. Make sure the man has a vision. If he don't have a vision, where's he gonna lead you to? He has to have vision. And like the script says, write it and make it plain. He has to give you a clear, concise vision, show you where we're going, what is the plan. You know, I heard my brother earlier talk about, you know, you have a 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. What are you planning on doing? And what does that look like? How do we get there? Don't just talk. This is what I want to do. This is what I plan on doing. No, you need to show me in action. So if a woman should look at a man's action. Is he just a hearer, or is he a hearer and a doer? So again, my daughter, and I teach our women in Fortified, they have to have certain qualities that resemble the positive men in your life. Your fathers, your elders, and that's just minimum. They have to minimum exhibit those things. Like I said, they don't have to be like me. They don't have to be like, you know, the fathers of the ladies that are in our fellowship, but they at least got to, at a minimum, add up to that. And I know for me, I'm not giving any of the women of Fortified, I'm not giving any of my daughters over to a man that hasn't impressed me by showing me who he really is. It's not gonna happen. So I'll end it with saying,
Won't stop.
The man has to have vision. The man has to, at a minimum, be like the positive male role model in her life, whether it's her father, her elder, her uncle, somebody, a gatekeeper, somebody, kinsman, somebody.
That's right.
And I'll end it on that.
I wanna before the questions, cause I wanna say something right now, and I'm not gonna say anything else until everybody's finished. Ask the questions, do their closing statement. For the men that's listening, if you really paid attention to what all three of these, with the two Maureen, well, what the Maureen has spoke on, and then what Prince Shaul had brought forth, it really wasn't hard. Like they didn't say, man, you need to be making $120,000 a year. They didn't say you need to be having 4 or 5 businesses and stuff. They kept it pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? And gave some sound advice, in my opinion. So with that being said, any of the panel that's on the panel, if you have any questions or comments, go
I'm
ahead and
glad
put
you
it out
said
there.
that.
Oh
My
yeah.
bad.
Don't ever
I'm
interrupt
glad
me.
you said
Don't ever
that
interrupt me
because we.
again. No, I'm playing. I'm playing with you, Aki.
Hey, you crazy, man. No, I'm glad you said that because I know we didn't explain it from that perspective, but I'm glad you said that because that's not we mean that brothers gotta have $1 million or nothing like that. But you just gotta be a hardworking man that can balance out love and honor and cover your family the way that Torah says that you should. However that happens, get it done.
Mm-hmm. Can I speak now, Aki? Can I finish my closing remarks? No, I'm playing with you. Can't wait to see you, brother. Come on, hurry up and get on over there. Hopefully I see more
That's it.
Celine too.
And we
Um,
close, man. We close, man. We
Yeah,
close.
hit it that way. Hit it that way.
okay, cool. So panel, I want to hear y'all, man. Chief Zebulon, I have never not heard you speak when you was on here, brother. Hopefully you can speak. Let us know some comments or anything. Tamar, Shamika, go ahead. The floor is y'all. And in it, can y'all give y'all closing remarks too? And then we'll let the 3 brothers give theirs, and we done, y'all. We done.
Hey, no, I was just gonna say, and anybody who knows me, well, first and foremost, this is Chief Zebulon Belewi Adekia, and those who know me know that I'm always about the honor of my elders. I came up under great men, Chief of Chiefs Naphtali, Most High bless his memory, Chief Prince of Poor. I come out of the Benny Zakim,
Hallelujah.
okay, hallelujah, under the under Nasi Yaakov's tutelage from years back. So my teachers are the students of Nasi Yaakov out of Cincinnati. So one thing that I was told is that even as a chief man, when you are in the presence of an elder, you keep your mouth shut and listen. Therefore, when Shalim ben Yaakov came on, there was nothing for me to do except listen. So that's why normally I'm long-winded, but why be long-winded when there's somebody on the block that has been around the block longer than me? So with that said, that's why silence is golden. And
Hallelujah.
told out for what you brought to the platform. Nothing else to say except wisdom.
Right. Honors to you as well, elder, and honor to your elders. I recognize the name of those honorable men that you mentioned.
Hallelujah.
Right. Those are some great and powerful teachers. Right. You're cut from a special piece of cloth. Hallelujah.
With no ketchup stains either.
Okay. All
None.
glory to the Most High.
None. That's a special piece of cloth. I know those names.
Sister Tamar, Samika, y'all got anything?
I just want to say thank you. And we were sitting here, me and my husband were sitting here listening, and I hope I'm saying this right, Moray. When he was speaking, John said, I don't know if he got a time limit, but I hope they let him go past it. So we just appreciate it. And just thank you for the wisdom.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, we definitely didn't want to have a time. At first, we started off, but I was like, you know what, man, these brothers about to bring some stuff. Then Chief gave me the private message, said, nah, bro, no time limit.
Right.
Let them
Right. Toda,
take
Chief.
their wisdom.
Right. And Toda for that honor, Chief. Toda. That does not go unnoticed, sir. Toda.
Okay. Hallelujah. It was well earned. So that's why it didn't make sense to have a time limit. Why put a time limit on the discussion? So no doubt. Praise the Most High.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hallelujah.
Sister Tamar?
Yeah, I just want to say, I kind of said it already, but just thank you to everybody that joined. And I've never in my life heard a conversation like this. So it's like, it's crazy. But I think that the good thing about the conversation happening on this platform, not that we're special, but this platform and the fact that it could be shared. So if you're watching right now, share the video, talk to your brothers and sisters after the fact, share, because there are people in the nation that's doing good work and we have examples, and there's no reason for us to be stuck in ignorance. There's no reason. So again, thank y'all, and I pray y'all continue to have safe travels throughout the day.
Clean. Hallelujah. Appreciate that. We're headed to Morris Shamar to enjoy ourselves at his beautiful home as usual. We attempt to do every time we're in this neck of the woods on Shabbat.
And I'm out here too, y'all. I'm out here with them, y'all.
All right, y'all. We got a newbie. We need to initiate, family.
Oh my goodness. I'll let y'all know if I'm all right, man. If y'all don't hear from me, y'all know they done. I don't know. No, I'm playing.
It's all in love.
We gonna take
we're
this
gonna take good
moment
care of
now
him.
and have we'll have Moray Shamar, closing remarks. Prince Shaul. Yeah, I'm calling you Prince since you got done on your Facebook. I don't know if you changed it. Prince Shaul, closing remarks after him, and then we'll let it end off with Moray Shalim, and then we out. We out, y'all. So Moray Shamar, you got the floor if you want to give us closing remarks, anything you want to say.
All right, Roger that. Again, I thank you all, also to all those on the panelists. Thank you for having me. It was a good dialogue. I liked it. I appreciate the love. We'll talk, of course, me and Aki Shema, we'll talk about possibly having my wife get on next week to speak. Again, I'm just glad that we were able to kind of mid-rash together and just talk about some things that are going on within our community. And I do like what you're doing, Brother Shema. Again, peace and blessings to everyone. I love you, Israel. I love my people. So hopefully we just do what we need to do. And of course, always be righteous in what we do. But again, thank you. And also to my big Ak, Moreh Shalim, and his team. I do love you. Like we got some beautiful things I think ahead that we're going to do. So I do thank you for you and everybody else for coming to my home this evening so that we can have some family time again.
Hallelujah.
I got a gift for y'all too. When you get here, and for you, Moray Shamar, when I get out this car.
And now I have to tell you, like I tell everybody else, the only gift you owe me is love. That's all you owe me. That's the only gift I want.
Hey, this is good love right here. Saul, be quiet, man. Don't be telling people my gift, man. All right, so go ahead, Saul. Closing remarks.
Well, I don't really got much to say, man. I think that's why I try to keep my answers the shortest because, like I said, they got way more experience than me. And really, I don't deserve to be on here even speaking on this because regardless of my own experiences, I'm not an elder, I'm not a Moray, any of that. So I just want to give thanks and send my blessings to, just for being allowed to be on here. You know what I mean? And that's it, man. I just give my love, double honors to Maurice Lean, my elder, double honors to my brother, my big brother Shamar. Hey, we'll see you in a minute, brother. And peace and blessings to everybody else on the panel. Zebulon, shalom, peace to that brother, double honors to him. And I just send my love and my peace to everybody. That's basically it. I ain't got really nothing to say.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Shalim, you got the ending.
I would like to say thank you again, and may the Creator continue to bless this platform. We need more of this in Israel so we can share and disseminate the information that's needed for our people. And if you will, allow me to humble myself, if I may, because the Creator hates a prideful spirit. The little bit of knowledge that our Creator has blessed me with, because that's the source of all blessings. The little bit of knowledge that our Creator has blessed me with does not belong to me. It belongs to His people. And you are the apple of the Creator's eye. You are His people, Israel. I'm simply the caretaker of the little bit of knowledge that He blessed me with. The same way every county has a county library, the knowledge therein does not belong to the librarian. The librarians are simply the caretakers of the knowledge. Now, if you don't go down to the library to check out some of the knowledge, that's not the librarian's fault. So therefore, the little bit of knowledge that the Creator has blessed me with, because I'm not blessed to know it all, but the little bit that He has blessed me with does not belong to me. It belongs to my people. And you all are blessed to be. I'm blessed to have you all as my people. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Well, we appreciate all of y'all tuning in. If you thought this was heavy, which it was extremely heavy, all praises to the Most High. Hallelujah. For allowing
Hallelujah.
these brothers to give us this time, first and foremost. You're talking about two brothers that's on the road right now, and you're talking about another brother that's tending to his beloved Isha, you know, and his
Okay.
family and his who he's over, his lessons with his people, you know.
Okay.
So thank you all for taking the time with blessing Tamar's, mine, Chief Zebulon, Yeshayahu show, and those that's with us, Shamika's her show too. You know, anybody that's over there, you know, I say it's all our show or all our segments.
Okay.
But thank you all
Okay.
for blessing us. And next week, I hope that it will be as fire as this one to refine us. And it's, I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. Thank you all.
Okay.
Shalom to all of you. And you all be blessed
Shalom.
and safe.
Shalom. Chief Zebulon, Todah again for yielding the floor, Elder. Todah again.
Ain't no bar, Key. That's how
Yes,
we
sir.
do. Like I said, when I'm in the presence of an elder, keep your mouth shut.
Hallelujah. Likewise. I do likewise. Hallelujah. Y'all take care and may the Creator bless you all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. God bless.
Beautiful.
Peace, everybody.